Hey everyone, Theo here. Today I'm reviewing the Simbans PicassoTab X14. This is a 14.1-inch tablet that runs on Android 13 and is marketed as a portable drawing tablet. First of all, disclaimer, this is a review unit provided by the company, and in this video I'll present to you my findings so that you can decide whether this is worth the money. And the price of this tablet at the time of review is $299 US, and that may or may not include free shipping depending on where you are. Now this video is going to be quite long, so if you want to save time, you can use the timestamp provided to jump to different sections of the video, or check out my text review. The links are in the video description below. Let me give you a sense of how big this tablet is. That's the 12.9-inch iPad Pro, the Simbans PicassoTab X14, the 14.6-inch Samsung Galaxy Tab S9 Ultra. So this is big, and this is noticeably more affordable compared to the iPad Pro and the Samsung Galaxy tablets. And this is an A4 size sketch pad, so you can see this display is really big, very comparable to A4 size paper. It's wider and more narrow. Let me give you the bottom line up front. This design looks alright. The build quality is solid. This is kind of heavy due to the size and how thick this is. The colors on this display look better than I expected. The brightness could be better though. Right now I'm using the display at maximum brightness in a bright room environment and it looks alright, but I wish this could be brighter. There are four-way speakers and the audio quality is so-so. The audio sounds hollow and the volume is not loud, and there is no 3.5mm audio jack, so to get better audio quality you need to use wireless earphones. This tablet has 6 gigs of RAM, which is sufficient for multitasking and for drawing. The processor is fast enough for smooth performance and drawing, except for gaming where there is the occasional lag and drop frames. This display has a matte textured screen protector that's already applied, and the drawing surface feels nice to draw on. This display is laminated, so there is almost no gap between the line and the pen tip. But there is the latency gap as the line is trying to catch up with the pen tip. The pen supports pressure sensitivity, palm rejection, but it does not support tilt. Pressure sensitivity works fine, however palm rejection isn't that great because the pen has to be quite close to the display for the tablet to recognize your drawing with the pen and to have perfect palm rejection. So if you rest your palm on the display while you draw, some things can happen. Notice that the canvas actually moved. That was unintentional because the tablet detected 2 fingers on the canvas, and 2 fingers can be used to zoom in and out, pan and rotate, and can also undo. So sometimes when you're drawing, the canvas may move, or sometimes, see what happened there? Or sometimes it may undo, and when it undoes, you have to redraw again. So that is incredibly annoying. So to prevent all that, the unintentional finger gestures, you have to draw with the artist glove that is included. If you do not use the artist glove for drawing, the drawing experience will be incredibly annoying. So now with the artist glove, I can rest my palm on the display and draw, and all those unintentional finger gestures will not happen again. Latency doesn't really affect drawing. Another thing I noticed is when you use the pen to select something by tapping on it, sometimes the tablet may not register the tap, so you have to tap a second time. And right now it's working okay. That's probably due to how thick the matte screen protector is, and that may affect the pen sensitivity for selecting stuff, but for drawing purposes it works fine, and if you use your finger it works fine as well. Another downside to drawing is there is jitter with slow diagonal lines, so this obviously will affect drawing and accuracy. So for this drawing here, I actually applied some smoothing to the lines so that they look smoother and better. So those are the pros and cons of the Simbans PicassoTab X14. If you want to draw on this tablet, you really need to know the downsides or the limitations of the pen performance so that you can work around those limitations. And I will talk more about the drawing experience later on. If you really want to draw on a display where you can see the lines as you are drawing, there are other options out there at the $299 price point. For example, you can get pen displays, but those pen displays are not portable because you have to connect them to a computer. The main selling point here is the display is huge and this is portable, but there are some drawing limitations. Alright, let's move on to the full review. Let me show you the items that are included in the box. This is how the box looks, and these are all the items in the box. There is a flip case, a charger with double flat pin and USB-C port, travel adapters for the charger, one AA battery for the pen, SIM ejection tool for the micro SD card slot, one artist glove, the pen, USB-C to USB-C charging cable, some documentation, some links to where you can find information on the manual, warranty, safety information. Now this card is important. Behind this card is a serial number that you can enter into the app Concepts to unlock some free drawing tools. And Concepts happen to be one of my favorite drawing apps, and it's pre-installed together with some other drawing apps on the tablet. And this is where you can find some free drawing tutorials from this app, Artiso, on the tablet. This flip case is made with PU leather and silicone, and there is a holder here for the pen, and there are two holes beneath that you can use to push the pen out. This flip case will make the tablet even heavier. So this case will provide protection on all sides for this tablet. This PU leather texture looks nice. This flip case has auto wake and sleep, but there is no face unlock or fingerprint sensor, so you will have to type in the code to unlock this tablet. So you can fold a little triangle here to prop up the tablet. This is a comfortable angle for drawing, and this is very stable. If you need to prop up the tablet even higher, you will need to get your own tablet stand, and the one that I usually recommend is the Pablo PR100. The included pen is called Picasso Pen 4, and this pen has a nice weight to it. The build quality is solid with the all-metal build. The surface texture is matte, and this is quite comfortable to hold for long periods of time. There is no side button and there is no eraser at the back. This pen is powered by battery, and it uses one AA battery, and there is an extra battery that is included. This pen supports 4096 levels of pressure sensitivity, palm rejection, but it does not support tilt. The pen tip is quite smooth on the matte textured screen protector, but I wouldn't consider this to be slippery. There is slight movement with the pen tip when it's in contact with the drawing surface. This display is laminated, so there is almost no gap between the line and the pen tip. And you can see the image quality is quite soft. That's due to the matte textured screen protector and my camera angle. Using the artist glove is a must for drawing with this tablet because the palm rejection isn't flawless. So if you do not use the artist glove while drawing, sometimes the tablet may register your finger and your palm on the display, and that's two fingers on the display, which can zoom, pan, and rotate when you don't want to zoom, pan, and rotate. And sometimes it can undo, so while drawing, it will just undo and you have to redraw again, which is incredibly annoying. So you absolutely have to use the artist glove. And sometimes even when wearing the artist glove, the tablet will still register unintentional finger gestures, because when my palm is on the display, my skin here on the arm is still in contact with the bottom part of the tablet, and sometimes it may notice that it may register unintentional finger gestures. The last thing I want to say about this pen is the design is perfectly cylindrical, so be careful not to have this roll off the table. Let's look at the design of this tablet. The design looks good. The bezels are quite thin on the sides here, thicker at the top and bottom. And the bezels actually look thicker because they have this bumper design built onto the four sides to provide additional protection for the tablet. There is of course auto rotation. The front facing camera is here, and unfortunately it doesn't support face unlock. My first impression of this tablet is this is huge. I can fit both palms on the display and there is still space between my palms, so this display at 14.1 inches is huge. The resolution is 1920 by 1080. This is kind of heavy. It weighs the same as probably 14-inch laptops, those thinner ones. And this is quite thick, as you can see. So this looks and feels like a laptop, except it doesn't come with a keyboard. Here's a closer look at the bumper design on the side. This is plastic, by the way. So there are holes for the four-way speakers, two on the other side. The audio quality sounds hollow and the volume is low, so the audio quality isn't that great. And there is no 3.5mm audio jack, so if you want better audio quality, you have to use wireless earphones. On the top side, there's the red power button with no fingerprint scanner built into it. Volume buttons, holes for the mic, and you can see the screen protector is quite thick. That's the cutout on the screen protector for the camera. And near the corner here, there is one SIM tray for one micro SD card. Having the micro SD card slot is great because this tablet only has 128 gigs of internal storage. On the back, there is one 13-megapixel camera, the flash. The camera in front is 8 megapixels, and this is matte textured, which feels nice. This is made with plastic, and that's the PicassoTab logo. Colors on this display look good. The colors look better than I expected. I wish the brightness could be better because right now I'm using the display at 100% brightness and it's alright in this bright room environment. If I reduce it down to 90%, you can see it becomes dim very noticeably. So this tablet is best used at 100% brightness. The anti-glare works quite well. It's not that aggressive, it's just that the brightness isn't bright enough for the colors to go through the anti-glare when the room is very bright or if there is very strong reflections on the display. The texture on the matte textured screen protector feels really nice. It's quite smooth. This matte screen protector is on the smoother side, so it doesn't introduce much grain or color noise to affect the image quality. Those screen protectors that are more textured will have visible color noise and grain. And this screen protector also makes the image look slightly softer, and you can definitely see that with text. So the image quality is slightly softer, and that sort of reduces the pixelation. But of course, this will affect the sharpness of the display. Let's talk about the performance of this tablet. This tablet uses the MediaTek MT8183 processor, which has 8 cores. This has 6 gigs of RAM and 128 gigs of internal storage. Multitasking is quite smooth. The animation is, I'll say, smooth enough on a 60 Hz display. Let's look at web browsing speed. So scrolling looks alright. Let me open this in another tab here and look at the loading speed. So the loading speed is pretty fast and the image quality looks good. When you're loading huge games, it's going to take some time, and as you can see, there is the occasional stutter, the drop frames. Gaming on such a huge display is definitely quite satisfying, but note that this tablet is very heavy, so This is a tabletop tablet. You will have to place it on the table to get some support. I don't think it's possible to hold a tablet and game because it's quite heavy. So as I am running around in this game, Genshin Impact, I can see the animation isn't that smooth, and the visual quality, the image quality of the game is not that great because it's not using the highest image quality that this game can actually support due to the hardware limitation. But I guess if you really want to play games, yes, you can still play some games. And notice my finger here. I have to stretch a bit to reach this controller because this screen is so big. And the audio experience, as mentioned earlier, is not great because the audio sounds hollow. So when playing games, you will have to wear wireless earphones. Otherwise, you won't even be able to hear the sound because the volume is so low. For drawing purposes, this tablet is definitely more than powerful enough, and animation for navigation gestures such as panning, rotation, and zooming in and out, all that is really smooth. This tablet runs on Android 13 and comes with Google Play Store. I want to talk about the user interface and Android 13 first. Now the features that you can get from the UI provided by Simbans is extremely primitive. It looks quite bad. This is how it looks. There isn't much customization you can do with this desktop, so I highly recommend you install another launcher. I like to use Nova Launcher, so let me just set this back to Nova Launcher, which you can download from the Google Play Store. Okay, so now this is the desktop UI with Nova Launcher, and it looks kind of similar to the Samsung Galaxy tablets UI. This actually looks good, and there is a lot more customization you can do with the Nova Launcher settings. Simbans did not install any bloatware on this tablet, and that's great, but they have installed some drawing and animation apps. So Artiso is an app with drawing tutorials for beginners. Infinite Painter is a fantastic drawing app, but this is not free, so you have to pay for a one-time purchase to unlock the tools, and it's really worth the money. Concepts is one of my favorite drawing and sketching apps, and you can use the serial number that's provided by Simbans to unlock the Pro account. Flipperclip is an animation app that I have not much information about. Since there's Google Play Store, you can install whichever drawing app you like, and there are many good drawing apps available on Android such as Clip Studio, Sketchbook, Krita, Medibank Paint, and more. Time for some line tests. The app that I'm using is Medibank Paint Pro. So as I'm writing the name of this app, I can see latency. So this tablet isn't that great for taking notes due to the latency. And latency will also depend on the app you use. So some apps actually have more latency, some have better latency. And Medibank Paint Pro is an app that usually doesn't have great latency performance. But I like to use this app for testing the pen because it doesn't provide any software correction to the pen and the lines. So the line that you see will come down to the hardware performance. Let's look at the initial activation force. So this is how thick the line is. And now I'm going to draw with minimal pressure. I'm drawing the diagonal lines very slowly, and I can see jitter, slight wobble. The thinner the line, the more noticeable the wobble or the jitter. And of course, the slower you draw the diagonal lines, the more noticeable the wobble will be. Now I'm barely applying any pressure on the pen, so I can draw the thin lines quite easily. So initial activation force is actually pretty good. Let's zoom in and have a look at the lines. So you can definitely see the wobble and the jitter. This is how the lines taper, and the taper looks really good. It starts off thin, becomes thicker, and becomes thin, and the taper is smooth and sharp. Line transition from thin to thick. This is the true test of pressure sensitivity. So let me press down hard to get the thicker line and reduce pressure to get the thin line again. Thick and thin. If a pen is sensitive, you will be able to draw thin lines after drawing the thick lines, and this pen is sensitive enough to do that, so that's great. Now this is a diagonal line as well, so there is also the diagonal line wobble or jitter here. Let's see if we can maintain consistent line width by maintaining consistent pressure. Again, you can see the wobble and the jitter. So yes, I am able to maintain line consistency by applying consistent pressure. Let's draw some dots. Works fine. Next, we'll test for cursor tracking. So what I usually do is I'll draw separate lines like this and try to join the lines to see if the lines will join properly without overshooting and without gaps. If there is cursor misalignment, it's going to be difficult to join the lines properly. Okay, so I can see one small gap here, and the line overshoots here, and one small gap here. For this box, it looks fine. Oh, I accidentally undid this. Yeah, this box looks fine. Now, this pen actually does have some cursor misalignment depending on how you hold the pen. If you hold the pen vertically, the line is directly beneath the pen tip. And notice as the pen tip is near the display surface, you can see the cursor. You may or may not be able to turn off the cursor depending on the app you use. For those lines that I have drawn earlier, the camera was actually pointing from the side. So now the camera is pointing from top down, and you can see slight cursor misalignment when the pen is held at a lower angle. So there is slight jitter with vertical lines as well, and we will see later whether the jitter will affect drawing, because line test sometimes is not representative of the actual drawing experience. Alright, let me draw something really quickly while I talk more about the drawing experience. This app that I'm using is Concepts, and you can see the screen here is darker. That's due to the camera angle, not due to the display, which is evenly bright. Oops, notice what happened just now. As mentioned earlier, you have to use the drawing glove for drawing, otherwise it's impossible to draw on this tablet due to the unintentional finger gestures. This is my normal drawing speed. So with the artist glove, I can actually place my palm on the display. I can rest my palm on the display. But I try to avoid having my skin touch the bottom right side, because that will also activate, unfortunately, the unintentional finger gestures. When drawing at normal speed, I can still see line wobble and jitter for diagonal lines. The pressure support for this app for Concepts is actually not that great. I will show you Infinite Painter later on, how it reacts with pressure. This is a vector sketching app. So all these lines that you see are actually based on vectors. These are mathematical lines that are based on math. So if I zoom in close like this, okay, this is the maximum zoom. All the lines will still remain sharp. Let me just select this, lock it erase the line behind. Okay, looks okay. So far so good, but that's only because I'm drawing pretty quickly. Now if you need to create art that requires accuracy, this is definitely not a tablet I would recommend because of the line jitter. Unless you want to apply smoothing to the lines to get the lines smoother, in which case it will affect drawing experience because you will introduce more latency. For digital painting, it's beneficial to see a cursor before you paint so that you can see the size of the brush and the texture of the brush. However, with the Simbans pen, you can only see the cursor when the pen tip is very close to the display. And notice this line here. I actually meant for this line to be thinner, but the pressure support for this app is just not as good compared to other apps like Infinite Painter, Sketchbook, Clip Studio, Krita. So if the pressure support is not good here, it means if I have to draw thinner lines, I will have to change the line width, and that is, well, inconvenient because when drawing I prefer to choose a thick brush and just vary my pressure to draw the thin and thick lines without having to go back and change the brush size again. Okay, so what do we have here? We have a little van. This sketch is almost done. The drawing surface, the matte texture drawing surface is quite smooth. It's not as rough compared to other matte textured drawing surfaces, regardless of whether it's a screen protector or matte glass. And because this is quite smooth, the pen is quite smooth. It will take some time to get used to how smooth the display is. But I wouldn't consider this to be slippery. Okay, I'm actually holding the pen at an angle, the usual angle. And there is cursor misalignment, but it's not so much of an issue because when I'm drawing, I'm actually looking at where the lines end instead of where the pen tip is. So this way I can make sure to join the lines properly without the lines overshooting or leaving gaps. And it really helps a lot. By the way, I have a drawing course for concepts on Skillshare. So if you want to learn this app, you can check out my drawing course on Skillshare and also on Gumroad. This is a really fun app to use, a very easy app to use as well. So this sketch was drawn without any line smoothing, and yes, there is the wobble and jitter, but still looks okay for a sketch. So if you want the lines to look even smoother, you can enable line smoothing. And now let me color this really quickly. So this app Concepts does not have a fill bucket tool, so I have to draw shapes to color this. And now my camera is pointed directly in front of the display, which is why you no longer see the right side that dark. Drawing on such a big display definitely is quite satisfying. Sometimes when I use two fingers to tap to undo, I like to use my third and fourth finger, but because of the artist glove, I have to switch to using, well, this two or this two. Yeah, so this is a pretty quick sketch drawn with vector style. This was the first sketch that I drew, and you can see the wobble and jitter as well here. I've just switched over to drawing with Infinite Painter, and this is the dry inker brush. If you use a brush with rough edges, you can actually hide the line wobble and jitter, but you can only do so much hiding. So this is how thick the brush is, and Infinity Painter has better support for pressure compared to concepts. Alright, let's draw this skater. Because there is no tilt, I am not able to draw the extra broad strokes. The lines actually come out pretty much the way I expect them to. Oops, wrong eraser. This app requires a paid purchase to unlock all the tools, by the way. And it's definitely worth buying. This app is also available on the iPad. Let's check the brush settings. Okay, so I did not apply any smoothing to the lines. And this is again my normal drawing speed. Let's take a look at the diagonal lines. Yeah, so if you are using a brush with dry edges, it can actually hide or camouflage the wobble and jitter. Oops. Okay, the glove helps a lot. The glove helps a lot. Without the gloves, as mentioned earlier, it's not possible to draw. It's just not possible to draw on this tablet at all. Let's draw this diagonal line slowly. Yeah, it looks quite straight. Probably because I'm using a very rough brush. So this is the completed sketch. I did not experience much issues while drawing this. Here's another sketch that I drew. This one with the very smooth manga ink brush. So the lines are quite smooth. I may have added some smoothing to the lines, but I can't really remember. Anyway, when drawing with Infinity Painter, the line wobble isn't that much of an issue compared to when drawing with Clip Studio Paint. So there is still some line wobble, but it's not really like a deal breaker type of problem. This big display is ideal for use with drawing apps that have lots of user interface elements such as Clip Studio Paint, Kritar. So this app is Kritar, and it also has the slow diagonal line wobble. So this problem is not specific to any app, it's just well, pen performance. Another problem with Kritar is if you open the pen settings dialog box, you do not see the cross or the close button, so there is no way to close this dialog box after you have opened it, unless you have a keyboard where you can press escape. So if you want to use Kritar, you have to use it with a keyboard, otherwise you won't be able to use the brush dialog box. Clip Studio Paint works fine. It also has the diagonal line wobble issue, but for Clip Studio Paint you can apply stabilization to the lines to make the lines smoother, but of course that will increase latency. So this is how much space that is left for drawing after you have toolbars and palettes by the side. Clip Studio Paint also has this simple mode. Let me just switch over to simple mode to let you see what's the difference. So with simple mode, the UI is, well, simpler, more minimalist, so this will give you even more drawing space to work with. I don't think this tablet is ideal for drawing in a vertical orientation because this aspect ratio is quite narrow, and when you have the palettes by the side, you will get this even smaller space or narrower space to work with. This 14-inch tablet also works great as a wireless external display because it's huge. So right now I'm using the App Super Display to extend the Windows desktop over to the tablet, and it works great. And the resolution of 1080p looks okay at this size. The battery life of this tablet is about 7 to 8 hours when you use it at maximum brightness, and to charge from 0 to 100% will take around 2 hours. Alright, to conclude, if we look at this tablet as a general purpose tablet, I would say it's quite a decent tablet with some downsides, such as the brightness could be higher, the audio quality could be better, but at the $299 price point, you get a huge display. 14 inches for a tablet is huge. The overall performance is quite smooth for non-gaming purposes, and the colors actually look pretty good. So as a general purpose Android tablet, it's actually, I would say, quite good. At least the pricing is quite reasonable for a tablet at this size. Now if we look at this tablet for drawing purposes, there are limitations and downsides to the pen performance. So you can use this to draw for casual drawing, sketching, casual digital painting. I think it works fine. But for creating professional art, the pen performance definitely is not good enough because there is diagonal line wobble and jitter. And if you want to remove the jitter and wobble by increasing the smoothness of the line with the app that you use, that will increase latency to affect performance. And also remember, you have to wear the glove at all times when you're drawing on this. Now for $299 you can also buy pen displays, and by pen displays I'm referring to those monitors that you can draw on, and those monitors have to connect to a computer in order for you to use them with the desktop drawing software. And for $299 you can buy 12 or 13-inch pen displays that have better drawing performance than the Simbans drawing tablet. But the advantage here is this runs on Android 13. This has its own OS, and this is portable, so you can bring this around and you do not have to connect this to a computer in order to draw on it. So it is very convenient to have a tablet like this. So is this worth the money? Well, you can decide. And if you want to buy this tablet, you can check out the purchase links that I have for you in the video description below. Thanks for watching. See you again. Bye.